Well. I think to open this week's podcast, I need to put a couple of requests out there into the ether. First, if you are a male VTuber, I'm gonna need you to stop creeping. Right now.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop creeping. You gotta look in the mirror and say to yourself, I'm not really a handsome anime boy, I'm just a dude. And the creeping, it must stop. Or else I will lose everything. Because you likely will. So you gotta stop creeping. Gotta go out and meet you a real girl and touch that grass. And then if you're nice enough, you know, like a girl will let you touch her ass instead of you trying to force yourself on her. You fucking weirdo. Second, I'm gonna need you shippers to just stop. Just because, yeah, Jesus Christ. Just because two dudes look at each other does not mean that they want to fuck. If they happen to, it's probably with the girl that they're looking past the other dude to look at because she's bent over like in a bush or something, or maybe getting something off the table.
Have you guys ever have had those feelings for your male BFFs?
No.
And look at that and says, I want some of that pussy.
No.
My coworker likes to joke about it a lot, but no.
No. Tofu, if you're listening to this, the answer is no. But no, it's seriously, it's just stop it. Stop it. Y'all, like, you gotta understand, we men, we're just not like that. The vast majority of us are not. So two fictional characters that look at each other once, like, that's just not how it goes. And you're gonna have to get over it. And the third thing that we gotta talk about is that, Jesus fucking Christ, people, we need to get over the fact that Donald Trump got elected president. Let's just write some good fucking stories, please. So we're gonna talk about all that. Plus I'm gonna be talking about some Shark Boys. It's gonna be a fun episode. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of On the Grind. Alright. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode. With me this week is, of course, their editor-in-chief, Mike.
Hello.
And Serena, our social media manager, is here with us as well.
Hello.
So Serena, are you ready for some more scary shark men?
Not really. Okay.
Yeah, well, you're getting them. So, last week we took a little bit of time to discuss the absolute horror of the character of Warhammer 40k's Tyberos the Red Wake. Because that dude's a lot, to say the least. But that's why I like him. But last week I took a little time to review Red Tithe, the Warhammer 40k novel, and this week I have got my hands on the sequel to it, which is called Outer Dark. Now, Outer Dark is written by Robbie McNiven, who apparently, I think that this was like his last 40k novel that he did. I'm gonna have to look at this real quick. Yeah, it looks like he moved on to doing kind of like his own thing. Actually, no, that's not true. He did a couple books after that. He actually is also the guy who wrote the novelization of Dawn of War 3.
Oh.
But, he's done a lot of different books. He's done, aside from the Space Sharks, he's done a lot of Space Wolves stuff. Which is probably what he was mostly known for before this. But he hasn't written anything new for 40k for a few years now. And gotta say, the dude has a lot of talent in regards to writing 40K. He's one of those guys that really understands the grim dark nature of 40K. Not grim derp though. For those of you out there, there is a difference. Mm-hmm. In fact, let's kind of go over that difference real quick. So, grim dark is effectively storytelling where the scenario that exists, the setting, everything is kind of fucked. In one way or another, everything is just kind of fucked. The state of the world is that nothing is going right. And aside from something like Berserk, a good example of something that I would say is grimdark. Well, actually, no. Berserk is the prime example, I think, in fiction of like medieval grimdark. Berserk is a good example of it. Let me see here. Fist of the North Star, I would say, is kind of grimdark because it's post-apocalyptic. In some ways, the Fallout games are a little bit like that. The Fallout has a lot of humor to it, like black humor, to kind of balance it out. So basically, with 40K, it is a universe where the universe is constantly at war. Humanity is the biggest faction that exists within the setting. But the way that they are set up is a scenario that is kind of screwed up. But the big, I guess you could say, if there are any heroes, quote unquote, of the scenario, it is likely the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines. And the reason being is that they're just really cool super soldiers. That's basically it. They're big hulking dudes in power armor. And they look cool and they do cool things. It's not super complicated. And these books, the Carcharodons, it follows one of the chapters that exists. Basically, there was this whole thing called the Horus Heresy, and after it ended, because it's this big civil war. I'll just put it that way. It's the simplest terms. And Space Marines used to just be legions. There was only, how many? 20? Well, 18. But,
well, 18.
Yeah.
After the thing.
After the thing that is classified by the Inquisition. That we cannot discuss or we'll get black-bagged. Mm-hmm. But from those 18 legions, it was determined that they would be split into chapters of 1,000 soldiers each, so that no one man had too much power. And one of those chapters, from what is called the Unknown Founding, is the Carcharodons. And up until these novels, we didn't really know a whole lot about them. They were originally just called the Space Sharks. Which, the funny thing to me and what I love about 40K is it's so great at having like really cool names for stuff using Latin. But it says like exactly what it is on the tin. Cuz like, well, we got this kind of lame chapter called the Space Sharks that their stealth armor is orange for some fucking reason. How do we make them cool? Well, we changed their name to the Carcharodons. We renamed them the Carcharodon Astra. Which sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
Carcharodon Astra literally just means space shark. Or shark in space. It's hilarious. I love how on the nose it is. It's like, they're just like, let's just make it sound cool with Latin. But, the Carcharodons are heavily hinted. I mentioned this in the last book, and I will say this. This is the one major spoiler I am going to give in this one. This book pretty much points to the idea that these guys are a successor chapter of the Raven Guard. They have a relationship with a renegade group of Space Marines that are also they're a successor chapter of the Raven Guard, and they call each other brother. They say that they're related all the time, so on and so forth, and they say that they have they have the same progenitor. Well, if they have the same progenitor, and it's, because the successor chapter they deal with is called the Ashen Claws. If they have the same progenitor, it's Corvus Corax. In which case, it would make sense because they have mutations. They're a stealthy chapter. They're good at sneaking around.
They're spooky boys.
They're very scary in melee combat, which is what the Raven Guard are as well. They specialize in hit and run tactics, which the Raven Guard are excellent at. The only thing that the Carcharodons don't have a lot of focus on, at least not in the novels, that the Raven Guard do, is snipers. The Carcharodons are just really, really quiet. Scary quiet. But then again, that's the thing about if you're getting hunted by a shark in the sea. You're not going to hear it. So, effectively how this story starts is the Carcharodons, it's set 10 years after the last book. The young man that they went and got as part of the Red Tithe 10 years ago is now a proper Space Marine. Not only is he a proper Space Marine, he is also now a librarian, a psyker. Basically, it's the closest thing that this universe has to magic, and he is a powerful one on top of that. So he's doing pretty good. He's pretty pleased with being a Sharky boy. He likes the new teeth. He likes the pale skin. He's cool with it. He likes the armor. It's cool looking. But he's basically adjusting to life among the Space Marines and adjusting quite well. Baelshar, who you guys can see if you're in the video, watching the video version of this, with his big old chain axe, which is such a cool fucking weapon. But Baelshar is still the head of the third company, captain of it, and basically he is in charge of the tithing, or of the red tithe, bringing in constant recruits. And who we see in this book is somebody that we talked about last week, the chapter master, Tyberos the Red Wake, who, to recap, is a nearly 10-foot tall normal Space Marine, wearing two power claws called Hunger and Slake, which also have underhand chain blades as well. Which, one thing that I will say, it's not really a spoiler, like they say it pretty early on, is they basically flat out say that the weapon is a Primarch's weapon. Meaning that the claws could have been owned by Corvus, or it's possible that it's something that was actually created by what is his name? The fucking Night Lord's Primarch.
Fabius Bile?
No, Fabius Bile is the
that's fucking Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
Night Lords? What's his goddamn freaking name?
He's the other emo guy, the one that nobody likes.
I know who you're talking about.
Conrad Kurz.
Yeah, Conrad Kurz. They could have been Conrads as well. It would make about the same sense because, the fact of the matter is that, Tyberos is about as big as a Primarch. So him using a Primarch's weapon, I can see it. But either way, basically the thing that the Sharky boys have realized is that, look, even though the Red Tithe was successful, we got some new recruits. We didn't get that many because the Night Lords kind of fucked it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to barter with our brothers in the Ashen Claws, which are a Renegade Space Marine chapter, which I need to explain real quick. some Space Marine chapters will leave the Imperium, but they don't go traitor. They just go to do whatever the fuck they want. That's what the Ashen Claws are. They're basically space pirates at this point. So, effectively what Bail Shar has to do is he has to go down there with a bunch of extra weaponry and armor that they have to trade for recruits, so that way they can bring the Carcharodons close to full strength, because they're at about half of it right now. It's about 500 Marines. And needless to say, it doesn't really go that great. And there's some drama that goes on there. But on top of that, we also follow some of the characters from the previous book. Specifically, the member of the Arbites, her name escapes me at the moment. Her and her new Inquisition handler. She has become part of his team. And their investigation into some weird goings-on a different planet. Specifically, a planet that is largely dedicated to the Imperial cult. I'm trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head. In fact, let me bring up the synopsis real quick. Oh, you're gonna love the how on the nose this is. Take a wild guess what the name of the planet that is devoted to the Imperial cult is called.
I'll
give you a hint.
Edgy.
No. I'll give. Yeah, it's really on the nose. It's not Faith.
Faith.
BLT.
Nope. You're close.
Belief.
You're both close.
Frontier.
I'll just say it. It's Piety.
Oh, for
Piety 5.
nice.
So, but the gimmick is that what's going on is this effectively takes place. They don't say it. I am 90% sure that this story is taking place during the Indominus Crusade. Because the Carcharodons are in the Outer Dark on the other side of the universe. And they encounter the Tendril. And basically what the story turns into is that the world of Piety 5, which is a huge church world, basically. If this were to get overrun by the Gene Stealers, a massive population would just get eaten. On top of like a stronghold of the Ecclesiarchy, which is not good because the Ecclesiarchy, for those who don't know, has a huge military.
Even though they shouldn't.
Yeah, but I like the Sisters of Battle though. I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty great. But anyway, so basically what happens is the Carcharodons have to stop it. Basically, they have to kill the Gene Stealer cult, because what the Gene Stealer cult is doing is they're basically putting out a big psychic beacon for the Hive Fleet that's on the way, and the Tendril that's following it. And in space, you actually get to see, quote unquote, it is a book, a fleet battle between the Carcharodons and the Ashen Claws against the Tyranids. And what's really cool is that there's a sequence where a docking tendril gets onto Tyberos' ship, right? And he's just walking with the Pale Nomad, the chief librarian, and they're just talking and killing them some Xenos, just like you do,
as you do.
And Tyberos sees that the docking tendril went into like the depths of the ship. Now, Tyberos is hundreds of years old at this point. He fought in the Badab War. And not only did he fight in the Badab War, he's part of the reason that I think it's like, the Mantis Warriors?
Yeah.
Like they barely, if they exist at all, it's barely there, and he's one of the reasons why. He is a scary dude. Because again, this is a guy almost 10 feet tall, wears converted Terminator armor, and can sprint in it. He is frightening. But he basically said he looks at this hole that goes into the depths of the ship, and like, you know, all the stuff that the Tyranids are like spawning shit out of. And he goes, I'm gonna go clean this up. You stay right here to make sure nothing comes out. And by the way, when Tyranids dock and pump a bunch of Tyranids into a ship, they pump hundreds of them. Not just Hormagaunts, the little guys. Tyranid warriors as well. And he solos all of them.
Brutal.
And disconnects the mounting tube, the docking tube, from the ship by himself. And the only thing that's described is you hear a bunch of Tyranids and basically squishing noises. And then like 30 minutes later, Tyberos comes out of the hole covered in gore. But he is not injured. And it's like, holy fucking shit. Now, for those of you who have played Space Marine 2, imagine playing the opening mission of the game, of the operations mode on the hardest difficulty and soloing it. That's what he just did. And he made it look easy. It was just like, I'm bored, I'm going to go kill a bunch of shit. I will be right back. It was like getting the groceries for this dude. So basically that's what goes on with the course of it is like it's a double-sided fight. You're dealing with what's going on with the fleet and what's going on with Tyberos. Well, it's a three-sided story with Tyberos, and it's also dealing with the young lady who's part of the Arbites and the Inquisitor that she's tied to. Inquisitor Indogu is what I think his name is. And of course the Carcharodon's third company as well as they fight the Gene Stealer cult. There's also some really cool stuff going on with the new librarian as well, because as you guys I talked about it last time, is that he almost got sacrificed to be the host for a demon, and in 40K the demons don't give up. So there's some elements of that's in there too. It's really cool. Overall, the audiobook is what I listened to, and I have to say I very much recommend this one, just like I do the last one. It's the really cool thing about it that I really like about the way Robbie McNiven writes the Carcharodons and he writes their stories is there's always a little bit of a horror twinge to it. Which, I mean, granted, you're dealing with Gene Stealers. Gene Stealers are fucking creepy. But he also doesn't skimp out on the blood and guts in the description of it, which I really appreciate, because it is grimdark. It's supposed to be gory. But it's really cool to just follow the characters that are in this. Again, Bale Shar it gets to do cool stuff, but he has a tough time of it too. There's actually a scene in this where he gets to fight a World Eater. So that was, and the way he kills him is fucking awesome. So overall, do I recommend the book? Abso-fucking-lutely. It's a lot of fun. If there's one thing that I say to people all the time about 40K, it is grimdark and it can get kind of, some of the stories can be very bittersweet, but it's a lot of fun. It's hard not to enjoy it. So yeah, definite recommendation from me. Sadly, by the time people are going to be hearing this episode, the sale on audiobooks on Audible is probably over, because this was on sale for like $2.
I mean,
Damn.
I got a bunch of 40K books on sale, and I'm pretty stoked because the next one I'm going to start in on is the Dark Imperium series, which is deals with the resurrection of Rabute Gilliman and him going up against Mortarion. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, definite recommendation from me if you are curious about 40K. It's a really good introduction to it because they do take time to actually explain what the fuck is going on. So yeah, big scary shark boys. It's a lot of fun. Okie doke.
Absolutely miraculous. Oh,
So let's get into our topics of the week. So, Serena, why is this Nijisanji guy creeping?
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. This is the person you're seeing on screen is if you're watching this on a video, the person we're talking about is Aster Arcadia. He is a member of Nijisanji's six-wave Iluna. They consist of Scarlet Yanaguni, Kyo Kaneko, who's a retired member, Renzoro, Aya Amire, and Maria Marinette. Apparently, news has come out that he has been creeping on women, which I find very surprising, given the fact that for what I've seen of Aster, he's just been really chill. So, yeah, this is surprising here. So, there's screenshots that have come out of Aster bullying slash gaslighting Scarlet Yanaguni, his gen mate, Sanji, as well as other group and other women online and outside of Niji. Keep in mind, a lot of these screenshots are censored, so we don't have confirmation of like who. The only confirmation we have is that he did have a Scarlet. And other women have said that, not just in Discord but in Twitter DMs, that he's been kind of like flirting with them, asking them, telling them he's gonna fly them to Japan to like touch them, to kiss them, and all that other shit. Keep in mind, he's not the first male male VTuber Nijisanji that had allegations against him. Luca Kaneshiro was another one. He had allegations from a girl who essentially helped him get his career at Niji started. And she came out with allegations of her own. Whether they're real or not, I don't know. But they look credible by screenshots and receipts. And then you had the whole thing with Vox Akuma and Selene debacle. But that was his own can of worms. Speaking of Selene, she had Selene, now Dokiber. Let's be honest, we already know who she reincarnated as when she went indie. So Selene / Dokiber had also, prior to her termination, or during the time of her termination, she had kind of not so hint that there was also a lot of bullying and harassment going on between her and management, as well as other like livers. And I'm willing to bet that this is now true, given like the numerous allegations we've had with two livers at Niji. So Niji has had this problem for a fucking while now, of just their livers, especially the EN branch is the most problematic one. The Indonesia and Japanese branches, they seem to be relatively okay, except for like one instance. But that instance was like taken care of years ago. But it seems the EN branch has a lot of problems behind it, and it's not being tackled like properly. You guys want to weigh in?
This is kind of just sounding like I don't know how to put this other than old Yakuza shit. Because this is like boys' club essentially, way like old style. And yeah, it's just seems like it's a remnant of that sort of behavior. I mean, just like,
I also noticed that Scarlet, she's like the only member of um Luna I actually watched when I have the opportunity.
mm-hmm.
She doesn't do collabs with her gen mates at all. She used to in the past, back when Kyo was still there, but I don't see her interacting with them.
I remember um, somebody on some video had called Nijisanji Kurosanji, which for those who don't know is a black company thing. Um, and she
Yeah,
had
that was
liked the comment, and I was like, "God damn, girl!"
yeah,
but
that was during the debacle.
well, and this is the thing that I noticed about the whole Doki Bird debacle is they like they put out Vox Akuma and a couple other people that were allegedly harassing Doki, which effectively like the whole stream was like a big self-report, and they were too stupid to realize it. And during the course of it, like it was basically hinted that like the staffers for Nijisanji were like giving other livers Selen's fucking medical info and shit. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, was messed up.
Yeah, so I hear about this, and I'm honestly not surprised. Like, it doesn't shock me whatsoever. Like, because Nijisanji is so poorly managed as a company, and it feels like they've got like the opposite problem of Hololive. Like, because Hololive, that my thought is that it is too stiff for some of the people that are part of it. You know, we talked about this last week. Is that there is a desire for Idaru, and because they want that, some people are like, well, I don't want to like be in Japan all the fucking time, and I like my priority is streaming. That's what I'm good at. That's what I want to focus on. And you want me to focus on Idaru? I don't mind being an idol, but I like streaming. Like that's the big thing. That's my bread and butter. And oddly enough, that's also how this fucking company got famous. So, so they're like, we're just gonna head out. To the point where like some of the girls have actually are flat out saying like, yeah, I get why they're leaving, and I can't blame them. So, but this is the opposite problem. This is like the management. Yeah, it's like old Yakuza stuff, boys club. Like you, like dudes just could get away with this shit, and nothing happens. Like there's nobody there to lay down the law. There's nobody there to just like make an example out of somebody. You know, there's like, and it got to the like, it's getting to a point where it's like this company does not learn from its mistakes, and
it
honestly,
keeps getting worse and worse and worse every time we hear about this stuff.
yeah,
I don't know why the fucking investors aren't like turbo chapped about this.
I don't either, man. Like, if I were invested in this company, like, and I had like money to burn, like a lot of people who invest in these things do, I would fly to Japan to talk to the CEO and go, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
One of their, on the side note, one of their units, all of Niji's units only has one member, one member of a wave. The other two left.
It's wild to me. I'm of the opinion at this point that the best thing that Nijisanji can do is offer this motherfucker's head on a platter.
You mean Aster?
Yeah. Just be like, all right, he was creeping. We don't let people creep on our female talents. You're done. And there's a reason you do it that way, and there's a reason you go at it hard. You know, it is basically, you have to set an example. You have to make people scared. Like, and I hate to phrase it like this, but it's a fact. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When it comes right down to it, you have to instill discipline among your talents. And if somebody's fucking up and they're sexually harassing people, allegedly, or things like that, you got to cut them loose, because any other company, they would do the exact same thing. They would say, pack your shit, you're gone. But this has been a problem that I've seen far too much with this company. And because the saddest part about this entire story, well, there's two sad parts. There's a funny sad part and there's a sad part. The funny sad part is, like, I clicked on one video link about this and it took like 20 minutes for the person to get to the fucking point.
Yeah, he does that sometimes.
Well, actually, no. I actually have to say a thank you to False ID for getting straight to the point. Just bam. No, he got straight to it. He's like, hey, this is what happened, and let me go over the details. So I'm like, yes, that's what I need. Thank you for reporting it as it should be reported. But the fact of the matter is that sometimes an example just needs to be set, and it needs to be set publicly. And you just come out and say, look, we have fired this guy. We have and I would go to the point where, like, we have recommended legal aid for the talents that were victims of this individual, and we will do whatever we can to aid law enforcement in getting to the bottom of things. But we're never doing business with this guy ever again. That's what you have to do at this point, because if you don't do anything, that black company label ain't going anywhere. And you're never going to get your investors back. It's just not going to happen. It honestly wouldn't surprise me within the next couple of years if Nijisanji is no longer the number 2 VTuber company. Instead it's FaZe.
God, at this point it might even be VShoujo, which is funny as hell, honestly, considering.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Speaking of VShoujo, have their Japanese unit debuted yet?
I don't know, but I wonder if they hired any more crazies.
VShoujo, I swear to God, it is becoming the. Is that a phase? Isn't it phase that's becoming a mentally ill girl?
Yeah, but they're funny mentally ill though.
Yeah.
Like,
I know,
Pippa told Dev to fuck off. It was awesome.
I hope you go to the doctor and you say, I don't want to be short and fat anymore. And then he says, oh no, it's terminal.
It was so good. I was like, God damn, girl. Oh, I love it. But there's a funny kind of mental illness. Like, they're just crazy girls. VShoujo hired Rushia.
Snapped him in the ass quickly.
That was fucking hilarious. Like, Jesus Christ.
Actually crazy, but not in a good way, but in a yandere kind of way.
Oh my lord. So yeah. Either way, man, Niji really needs to fix its shit, or else they're gonna be fucked in the long run. But I just they're the guy who's in charge is too busy on his fucking yacht. Anyway, moving on. All right, Serena. Why the fuck? just why the fuck? Explain this to me.
That's why. Yes. So I'm not familiar with My Hero Academia. I never watched it nor read the manga. I've seen it trending a couple of times. That's pretty much it. So apparently there's an extended ending that recently came out that basically confirms that the hero, Deku, the character you're seeing actions on YouTube, the character you're seeing on screen is Deku. The ending takes place like years later, so all the characters are now adults. So Deku and the I forgot what the female character's name was. Her name is Ochia. Ocheka, or I'm just gonna call her Ochia. So it confirms that him and Ochia. Yeah, basically the pink and blue girl, the girl with the pink and blue suit. I don't know her. I do not know her superhero name. All I know of her is that there's a gift of her vomiting rainbows, and that's it. So basically, the extended ending confirms that these two get together. That there's a potential relationship about to start. So Twitter literally lost her shit when it was confirmed that these two characters they're about to start a relationship because for some fucking reason they wanted Deku to get with his bully. I think his name is Bakugo.
Oh God, gross.
Again, I don't know the names of the characters or their origin information. I'm just knowing for what I've seen online. So there was this one chick that basically said that a woman getting together with a dude was basically misogyny or some dumb shit. It was quote unquote reinforcing heteronormativity. So apparently there are people who are against human men and women being together because it doesn't affirm their gay ship.
Oh God.
Yeah, have
This
you
isn't the
ever?
first time. Oh, sorry. This isn't the first time Twitter has done this shit. They did this shit with Tokyo Ghoul, if I remember correctly. When there was like a panel showing Kaneki and the purple haired girl having sex and inevitably having a child as a result of that, people lost their shit too.
So let's break that down for a second. It reinforces heteronormative stuff,
Yeah.
and like
People do not like the idea of heterosexuality. They need
well
to live in
I
their gay.
I need to explain something to these people real quick. You see, when a man and a woman love each other a lot, and assuming that their reproductive systems work, they tend to make babies. You can put it in your you can shoot it in your boyfriend's poop chute as much as you want. A kid ain't coming out of there. All right.
Try explain that to the creators of Sister Claire.
Oh no.
I'm not going there.
If Yeah, those two that entire comic is basically fucking heterophobia. The comic. That's it. That's all I want to say about that.
Well, this is my thing. It's like, look, we kind of need heteronormativity to have more generations of like human beings. That it is something that it's nothing. I have nothing against people who are gay. I don't really care. Honestly, what you do in the privacy of your own home is up to you. But the fact of the matter is that there are certain realities about existence that we have to accept. Most people are attracted to the opposite gender. The vast majority, it's like 97% of people on Earth are attracted to the other gender in some form or fashion. So to sit there and complain about heteronormativity in something is stupid and it's pointless. The fact of the matter is that most people are heterosexual. Most people want to a lot like we have an innate drive in us. It is part of our instincts as human beings to reproduce and to raise children. It's just part of us. It's born into us. We all have that desire. Some for some people it's stronger than others, but it is there. And there you can't ignore it. That's just how it goes. Second, it's not your fucking story.
They were sending death threats to the creator.
Of course
they
they are. Fucking shippers. Oh my god. People got okay, I have a rant. People got on my ass over
Before you go on your rant, I have to preface this by saying that for some reason people are obsessed with like toxic gay relationships. And I don't know why.
I'm going to get into that.
They did
Cuz this is exactly what happened with Witch from Mercury. So for those who have not watched Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury, I kind of became a little infamous in the Gundam community for disliking that particular anime and criticizing the romance in it. The reason being is the romance wasn't a romance. It barely existed. And on top of that, one of the people in the romance was incredibly abusive to the other one. Ridiculously abusive. And for some reason, I am supposed to want these characters to be in love with one another? Why? So why would I want to doom a character like Soletta Mercury, who's this cute little tanuki of a character? Why would I want to doom her to decades of spousal abuse?
Because lesbians, Micah. Lesbians. Think about the
Well,
lesbians.
I could get into criminal statistics if I need to, but like I don't want to go.
Damn,
I don't want to be.
Micah.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be that mean. I don't want to be. I don't want to be that fucking mean. But I'll just put it this way: I had a live stream where somebody came into my live chat and criticized me for making a joke about that. And I said, motherfucker, if you want me to dig up FBI crime statistics on lesbian domestic violence, I will dig up the stats and show you the numbers, and I will prove to you why you're an idiot, and I can do it mathematically. So, but I didn't, because they just fucked off, thank God. But the fact of the matter is that, like, I'm seeing this is a constant thing with shippers. Is they consistently want to ship these two characters together for some reason, when in reality, if they were to be in a relationship, somebody's going to end up calling the cops on the other one. And it's kind of fucking disturbing. And it tells me that not, whether you're gay, like that's different from this. You happen to have a mental illness. It's not the gayness that's the mental illness. It's that there's something else that is very fucked in your head, where you think that it's a good idea for people that abuse one another to be in relationships with each other. That's fucked. There's something very wrong with you if you think that's a good idea.
They did this with the Owl House.
I was going to say that, or they're just so fucking insecure that they think that everything needs to reflect them. Motherfucker, if you want something reflected of you, go look in a goddamn mirror and leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah. They did this with the Owl House by having, like, the creator's self-insert, who in the show is a bully to the main character, get into a relation with her. Keep in mind, there is no, like, any built-up relation, any romantic feelings. It's just pure antagonism. And just out of nowhere, these characters are just kissing up on each other. Keep in mind, these characters are both 14. So you have an adult self. Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms right there. So you have an adult pushing their self-insert onto their underage protagonist and just gooning over. Because Disney made a big deal about Luz and Amity getting together.
There's a big C.S. Lewis quote that I go back to, because I use this very quote to go bully some Fujoshi who was trying to claim that Samwise and what's his name?
Frodo.
Samwise and Frodo were gay lovers because they were trying to take care of each other during their trip to Mordor.
Yeah.
And
God.
The quote was, "Those who cannot conceive friendship as a substantive love, but only as a disguise or elaboration of eros, betray the fact they've never had a friend." The rest of us know. The rest of us know that though we can have erotic love and friendship for the same person, yet in some ways nothing less like a friendship than a love affair. Lovers are always talking to one another about their love. Friends hardly ever talk about their friendship. Lovers are normally face to face, absorbed in each other. Friends side by side, absorbed in some common interest. Above all, eros, while it lasts, is necessarily between two only, but two far from being the necessary number for friendship is not even the best. Reason for this is important. In each of my friends, there's something that some only other friend can fully bring out. By myself, I'm not large enough to call the whole man into activity. I want other lights than my own to show all his facets. Hence, true friendship is the least jealous of loves. It just stomps on these Fujoshis. It's such a fantastic fucking quote. I can't stand the Fujoshis because they every fucking time they see antagonism, or as the prelude to Eros, which suggests that maybe they're a little fucked in the head, because that's that is the most abusive thing. To constantly see even like a little bit of antagonism as the prelude to some, oh, they're gonna fuck later. It's disgusting. I hate it. Or even like taking a moment to like of two bros trying to take care of each other because they're fucking suffering. That's not Eros. That's friendship. I swear to God, these fucking Fujos have never had a friend, and I swear to God, that might be just the case. It's terrible. I hate it. Ugh.
See, I see things like this, and it's like, especially the abusive part, and I think of that quick commercial from South Park, Alabama man, and it's like, is that your model for what you want out of a relationship?
Right?
Oh goodness. So, Jesus Christ, some people need therapy, not the internet. Let's move on.
God.
Okay.
You're up, Mike.
I am up. So, Serena sent me an article from a website complaining about some Marvel writers saying stuff about Donald Trump and Trump supporters. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. Yeah, you might as well title the article "Writer that doesn't like Trump writes anti-Trump thing." We're back to where we started a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, what happened? Sales went down, and the independent comic boom came around. And now you have a bunch of people who do independent books, ourselves included. The biggest name in it right now is obviously Eric July. To say the least. Good God. He sold like over 100,000, I think, graphic novels in, I think, a year's time. Like, that's insane for an independent company. Absolutely insane.
Ridiculous.
If Diamond was actually monitoring actual graphic novel sales throughout like all of the internet and stuff like that, Rippaverse would consistently be having books in the top 10, if I recall correctly. So that's nuts. But regardless, that's what led to the rise of the indies and sort of the independent self-publishing movement coming around. And that's just what happened. Now we're doing this again. And I'm not going to sit here and expect a writer that doesn't like Donald Trump to suddenly like Donald Trump because I bully him online. And I honestly think that trying to do that is a waste of fucking time. Oh, you just don't like Republicans. Yeah, they don't. They don't. There's nothing you can do about it. And just coming in, like, what are you pointing out? Nothing. You're not pointing out anything. Oh, this person doesn't like Republicans. Like, so fucking what? We knew that already. You're not telling me anything new. You're preaching to the choir, pal. To anybody that complains about this shit. It's sort of like the people who are Christians that complain about things not being Christian. It's like, well, no shit. It wasn't made by one. Like, what the fuck are you expecting? Warhammer 40k is atheistic? Saying it so!
Right?
So, what gets my goat is it's not worth the attention. And I feel like the more attention we give to these things, the more that activists are attracted to it. Instead of like actual comic book fans. If actual comic book fans pick this up and they read it, they're like, oh, this is shit. And they throw it away. And that's it. And that, if you really want people to fail, what you need to, like, apathy works better, because apathy is death.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about what Marvel Comics is doing to itself. We were talking about this in our little boardroom chat, and I'm just going to read what I had said. What was the last truly classic comic book run for the big two? One that'll be talked about for years after because of the quality, not because of the infamy. I said the only one I could think of for Marvel was Jonathan Hickman's Avengers. And likely the next one will be Jonathan Hickman's Spider-Man. So effectively, the whole of classic Marvel stories that are being created now is carried by one guy. One guy. That's insanity when you think about it. Because if you're Marvel Comics, you have the pick of the litter. Like, if you saw an independent comic book writer and you read it without knowing about their background, and you're like, this is pretty good. And then you said, you offered them however much money to write Venom or to write Spider-Man or to write the X-Men or something like that, they would jump at it. I can't say that if I got an email from CB Cebulski tomorrow asking me to write a 12-issue Venom run, I would have a hard time saying no to that. Because it's Venom, it's my favorite character ever. You know? It would just be hard to say no. But instead of doing that, all it is protest stuff. But nobody wants protests from their comic books. They just want superhero stories. You know, I don't need you to try to turn the Red Skull into Jordan Peterson. I want the Red Skull to just be the Red Skull. And not to mention trying to turn the Red Skull into Jordan Peterson. This is a big knock on Ta-Nehisi Coates. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a moron. He is just an incredibly stupid human being. And if he knew anything about fascism and Nazism, National Socialism, and he had actually read the literature of those despots, he would know that there is a huge difference between Mein Kampf and Maps of Meaning. Because I will say right now, I have read both books. There's a very, very big difference between the two. Or 12 Rules for Life as well. But that's the problem. And here's the thing. Ta-Nehisi Coates' comics for Marvel, notice how nobody talks about them anymore? And it's sort of like something that people just kind of want to bury because of how shameful it was. And yet he was the one who was supposed to revolutionize the industry or something, or make comics more relevant. He didn't. And this is the reason why. It was too focused on politics. It wasn't focused enough on actual good storytelling like Jonathan Hickman's stories were. For DC Comics, what was the last classic DC stuff? Stuff from Rebirth, which was 8 years ago. And a lot of stuff they dropped the ball on. Because, Action Comics, Superman, was great. It was a blast. Then they hired Brian Michael Bendis to write Superman. And it was literally the worst Superman ever. And then you have Deathstroke, written by the amazing Christopher Priest. And it had its run and it was good, and then it ended. Red Hood and the Outlaws was great as well, and then they just canceled it. Batman Rebirth was doing really well until about issue 50 to 53. And then Tom King just had an aneurysm or something. He just woke up one day and he chose violence against Asian people. And he decided that instead of that Batman shouldn't be Batman anymore, Batman should be Tom King.
Yeah, he has a bad habit of doing that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. So
And just go ahead, Steve.
Pretty much. So, as it stands, I don't know what the comic, I'm going to say this about myself, and this is just me speaking for me. but I do know a few artists that I've met that have similar thought processes. The one thing that I think of all the time is legacy. What am I leaving behind? Because at some point I'm gonna croak, whether it's tomorrow or 40 years from now. My birthday was last week, so like it is like the time that I reflect on such things. And I just turned 39, and I will freely admit I have not gotten to accomplish any of the things that I want to accomplish in life. I've been working on it, and things are getting better, but I've had a lot of roadblocks, and I've had to just break through them. And some people are just late bloomers, and I think I'm just going to end up being one of them. But when it comes right down to it, that is something as an artist that I think about a lot, because it's like I want to create things that people remember and are worth remembering. And I think to myself, like that's a big part of art in general, is you want to leave beauty behind. There's a lot of artists throughout history who have said similar things, and they have done so. And when it comes right down to it, there is it seems like a lot of these writers don't really care so much about that. They care more about leaving behind political messages. And the problem is, and they don't seem to realize this, is like, those sorts of things nobody really remembers them. When's the last time somebody said, man, I want to go back and rewatch that episode of The Young Turks?
Sorry, I couldn't help
it. There's only two I can think of: the 2016 election special and the 2024. That's it. Because you want to watch Cenk Uygur lose his freaking mind. But that's it, and it's not because of like what they're talking about. It's you want to see people suffer, and it's. But I'll tell you what, you don't know what people are still reading to this day: Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, things along those lines. Comic book wise, people are still reading the Death of Gwen Stacy. They're still reading Maximum Carnage. Even though I have issues with Maximum Carnage's ending. I still can't believe that they put a good vibes gun, really. What the fuck? But people are still reading that. People are still reading The Death and Return of Superman. People are still reading
the Phoenix Saga.
The Phoenix Saga. People are still reading God Loves Man Kills. Like there's all these great stories. Even some that are inspired by politics, but they're done in such a creative way that it becomes a story about something deeper than what's going on in the modern day. It's not about the modern day. It's about a problem with people and a problem with humanity. Oddly enough, like God Loves Man Kills is a perfect example of that. God Loves Man Kills is incredibly critical of where a subsect of Christianity was at the time of its publication. It was very critical of it. But at the same time, it was a unifying story, and it was one that spoke to a much larger issue within human beings and our struggle with accepting people who are different than us. Because who's the focal point of God Loves Man Kills? Kurt Wagner, a Christian character. Well, a character that was a Christian. They've kind of done away with that in these days. But because he was a believer in God, it struck so much harder to the core of the story. And it's one of those things where I look at this and I say to myself, like, do you really want to leave a legacy behind? Do you want people to remember you for your stories? Or does that not matter? Because if it's the latter, and if it doesn't matter, and the only thing you really care about is getting your guy elected, if that's all that matters to you, dude, that's a sad fucking life. it's just sad to think about. Like, uh, man, I'll just say I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for this company. And I will do my damnedest to make sure that that doesn't happen. So, because at the end of the day, man, it's about, if you're an entertainer, it's about the audience. And it's about what the audience wants and what they want to see. And it is a pleasure to entertain them and to make them laugh and to make them happy, you know, because there's a lot of bullshit that goes on in the world. There's a lot of terrible things that happen in the world. And my whole philosophy still is, if I can make somebody happy that day through some sort of entertainment that I have provided to them, I'm a happy person too, and I'm glad that I've gotten to put some good in the world. And I wish more people would have that approach. Because admittedly, on top of it being the more fulfilling thing to do, it honestly makes more money too. Because lo and behold, people like to be entertained.
It's a strange thing.
What a novel concept.
Mm.
I think we could leave it on that, because just Jesus Christ, I'm very much I really feel like we're doing the same thing that we did years ago, like when Trump got elected, and it's like, let's just move on. So yeah. So to everybody who has listened and enjoyed the podcast, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. We are enjoying making it for sure. Hopefully here soon, Xavier and Wayne will be rejoining us as well. And that will be lots of fun as well, because I miss having those guys here with us. And yeah, other than that, is there anything else that you guys have in regards to parting words for the audience?
Don't creep on women.
Well, Serena's black.
Yes.
That too.
Oh, Lord. Keep in mind, folks, she asked to be oppressed. She had her Riri Williams moment.
Yes. It invigorates me every time.
Oh, goodness. But anyway, folks, we appreciate y'all coming by and hanging out with us week after week. As always, if you enjoy the show, don't forget to leave a rating for us wherever you're listening to us at, or if you're watching us on YouTube. We appreciate you, every single one. So until next time, we are going to take off, but you guys have your, for Serena and Mike, as the president, CEO, co-owner, etc. of Grindstone Arts, I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Frick.
Free.